very excited about our subject. Secondarily, a distant second, we want to get back to our TV sets before 2:30. That I'm sure of, and that includes me, and I have to go to New York. I have a few people to thank. This is a big deal for us. This is the first step in a dedication to making America a high-wage economy again. America once, many of you in this room are too young to remember, was once a high-wage economy. It once had the highest wages in the world, indeed, even beginning in the colonial years. When that was challenged by the move from agriculture and the so-called end of the frontier in the 1800s, and industrial work took its place, guess what? Government stepped in to make that industrial work safe, fairer, to raise pay, to give unions some power. Government also, along the way, invested in the canals, the railroads, maybe most important, public education. We had public education, and it was almost all government, and not everybody agreed that it should be public and free in the 1800s. And we continued investing in high schools and colleges, in obviously in R&D, healthcare, and one thing people forget about is sanitation. Government sanitized the cities and made cities possible and ended the age of plagues and severe disease, which made big cities almost impossible. Today we face another set of changing circumstances, but for some reason, our beliefs have changed. We too readily accept, I think the electorate does, as a populace does, probably many of you here don't, that the changes that have occurred in America are inevitable, that is to say, inevitably disadvantage low-wage Americans. What I was trying to say originally is we always had such changes, and we combated them with government policy. Sometimes those government policies took a long time to implement. This time around, we have, by and large, abdicated government's responsibility under the weight of an ideology that I think began in the 1970s, but was cemented by Ronald Reagan, an anti-government ideology. Government only hurts, it doesn't help. And secondly, there were sins of commission. We adopted policies that made wages worse, and I think America doesn't fully understand that. Inflation targeting tended to lead to interest rates and suppressed monetary policy that went too far and lasted too long. Austerity budget policies made fiscal policy itself impossible to expand when we really needed American economic growth. Deregulation, beginning with Reagan and continuing, gave rise to financial speculation that undid us in the 2008 crash. That was a terrible blow, but it was a blow also because it channeled investment to mortgages and housing when we needed much more investment in industry and high-paying services. Important to remember. We had policy after policy, not least of which, of course, was almost, it seems, continuous reduction, except in the Bill Clinton administration, in progressive income taxes, which could have helped finance our needs. Public investment as a percentage of GDP under Ronald Reagan in his last term was higher than federal public investment as a percentage of GDP in Bill Clinton's last term. Why? An absurd fear of deficits that was carried on, forgive me all, by a Democratic administration. We want to change that. We at Rediscovering Government believe we can become a high-wage society again, and we're developing an agenda to do just that. Manufacturing is our first step, but not our only step. We have I must say, we had a meeting this morning, and I was very impressed by the amount of work being done to help develop on a local basis manufacturing industries in surprisingly creative ways. We're not just giving the money. It includes the workforce. It includes R&D. It's fascinating. And we at Rediscovering Government are going to go to a few heartland cities to present our case and invite local people to present their case, our first stop, Pittsburgh. Our agenda includes public investment, number one. That means infrastructure, it means green technologies, it means R&D, and it means that old nasty word, phrase, industrial policy. Number two, we're talking about education, vocational, apprenticeships, and also, hopefully, though this is expensive, a revamp of K through 12. We know we need pre-K. I'm doing a book, and Rediscovering Government has paid a lot of attention to child poverty. We need a serious 0 to 5 child poverty program. That probably affects our future prospects more than anything. As you know, we have the highest child poverty rate in the among major rich countries in the world. And finally, we want to talk about labor regulations. Labor regulations that exist are not implemented. We need a higher minimum wage. I hope we can move towards a living wage in various cities. We need regulations that protect hours, that make hours steady and predictable. Quite a few regulations and labor standard policies, which we are going to pursue as our third prong. I think I've covered the territory. I want to emphasize one last aspect. Tax policies, fiscal policy, and monetary policy are the underlying foundation of economic growth. We need economic growth, and we need economic growth to be as rapid as possible, controlled, restricted, and focused by the need for jobs. This, as I say, is our first step. Next year, we're going to visit some localities, and we're going to have another conference on a variety of other steps we believe are important. I am looking for my list of people I have to thank, and of course, I misplaced it, but I probably remember some of it. First of all, Bernard Schwartz, who's the main donor to the Rediscovering Government project. Mark Zuckerman, president of Century Foundation, where the Rediscovering Initiative is located. All the people at Rediscovering Government who helped put this together, notably Andy Stetner, who's on the panel, Mike McCormick, Lucy Muirhead, who you'll see running around like a chicken with a head, with her camera. Others who have been critical are Alex, Abby, Monica, I believe, is here. I'm probably leaving a few out. Let me also emphasize our partners in crime. We have Tom Croft, who's going to come up after me, director of the Steel Valley Authority, Joel Yudkin, founder of High Road Strategies, Michael Goff, president, CEO of Northeast Midwest Institute, who I understand is located in DC, actually, so we're not that impressed that he came, but we're happy he did. I'm kidding. Zhan Zheng, economic fellow at Chris Kuhn's office, Saeed Jamir, legislative fellow at the office of Representative Tim Ryan. I believe we have a senator on the way, and Tom Croft is going to introduce him. How are we doing with the senator, Andy? Okay, so I think you've had enough of me. Very excited you all came. Thank you. Those of you who are sitting in the front, there are people standing in the rear. I'm not asking you to give up your seats. I just want you to know how lucky you are. Thank you very much. I'll be back.